The damp chill of the alleyway, even as autumn leaves swirled, offered little comfort to Arthur Art Thorne. He was a shadow among shadows, his worn coat barely shielding him from the biting wind. Once, his name had been whispered with reverence in the hallowed halls of gastronomy, a celebrated Michelin-starred chef whose culinary artistry drew accolades and adoration. But that life, that world of gleaming kitchens and exquisite flavors, had vanished years ago, consumed by a devastating fire that destroyed his renowned restaurant and tragically injured his family. The immense guilt, the crushing self-blame, had driven him into self-imposed obscurity, leaving him to wander the unforgiving streets, a ghost haunted by the echoes of a life lost. Yet, beneath the tattered exterior, Art secretly maintained an extraordinary intuitive culinary talent, a perfect palate that could discern the most subtle nuances of flavor, and a profound ability to create gourmet dishes from the meagerest, most scavenged resources. He clung to a quiet dignity, a silent defiance against his circumstances. His days were a ritual of survival and hidden artistry. Waking before dawn in a secluded corner, he would meticulously clean a small makeshift cooking setup, a repurposed grill, a few scavenged pots. He rationed every scavenged ingredient, transforming forgotten scraps into surprisingly delicious, comforting meals, each dish a whisper of his former brilliance. His social interactions were minimal. He avoided eye contact, spoke little. His requests for spare change almost imperceptible, lost in the city's indifferent hum. He spent hours observing the world from his quiet vantage points, his gaze missing nothing. Occasionally, his fingers would unconsciously trace old burn scars on his forearms, a roadmap of the physical trauma that mirrored the deeper, unseen wounds within him, a constant searing reminder of his past. Art carried a small, tarnished silver locket around his neck, its cool metal a constant, comforting presence against his skin. Inside, nestled against his heart, was a faded, sepia-toned photograph of his late wife, her smile gentle and knowing, and a tiny, almost illegible handwritten recipe for a dish she had named Phoenix Consommé. It was a dish of profound simplicity, yet astonishing depth, a secret known only to their family, a symbol of resilience. He frequently received anonymous, cryptic letters, the paper thick and textured, smelling faintly of exotic spices, with clippings of obscure culinary history or forgotten regional dishes. These subtle hints, always suggesting a hidden connection or a watchful protector, often spoke of a lineage of culinary alchemists. He would mutter cryptic phrases about unjust accusations or culinary betrayal in his sleep, fragments of a past injustice that still haunted his subconscious. His avoidance of news about Sterling Restaurants, a major chain that had aggressively acquired smaller, independent establishments, was almost visceral, his subconscious recoiling from the name that was subtly linked to his family's downfall. The biting cold of an early winter descended upon the city, mirroring the despair that enveloped Art's world. His existence, already precarious, became even more desperate. His hidden cooking setup, a carefully constructed sanctuary in the alleyway, was discovered and summarily dismantled by a city sanitation crew, and his few remaining scavenged ingredients confiscated. He was profoundly hungry, weak from malnutrition, and facing the dire threat of hypothermia as temperatures plummeted. Adding to his torment, an unexpected encounter brought him face to face with the very embodiment of his past and present despair. Evelyn Sterling, a renowned, notoriously ruthless and arrogant food critic, was on a culinary safari through the city's high-end districts. She was known for her scathing reviews, capable of making or breaking restaurants with a single stroke of her pen, and for her elitist palate that disdained anything less than perfection. She wielded immense power in the culinary world, driven by an insatiable ego and a profound contempt for anything she deemed unrefined or lacking pedigree. Unbeknownst to Art, Evelyn was secretly the CEO of Sterling Restaurants, a major chain built on aggressively buying out and often dismantling smaller, independent restaurants. She was, in fact, a distant, estranged relative of Art, his former sister-in-law. After the tragic fire that destroyed Art's renowned restaurant, Evelyn's family had swiftly moved to acquire his family's original restaurant property, transforming it into a soulless, profit-driven chain. She believed Art to be dead or a forgotten failure, and knew nothing of his identity or true surviving talent. Evelyn, accompanied by a well-known food blogger, Ben, spotted Art quietly begging near a particularly high-end restaurant. She saw him not as a human being, but as a blight on her pristine urban landscape. She made a show of loudly dismissing him, her voice cutting through the crisp air. "Honestly," she drawled, her words dripping with disdain for Art and aimed at Ben, "these freeloading vagrants, they simply should get a job instead of begging. What a lack of ambition." She actively discouraged Ben from giving him money, waving her gloved hand dismissively. "Don't encourage them. They just waste it." She reveled in his discomfort, seeing his quiet dignity as weakness, entirely missing the simmering defiance in his eyes. Later that same day, driven by desperation and a flickering, almost defiant hope, Art scrounged his last few coins. He found a forgotten, dilapidated warehouse in a quiet, industrial zone. With his profound culinary intuition, he managed to cobble together a temporary, underground, pop-up soup kitchen. His goal was simple: to provide one last warm meal for his fellow homeless individuals, and perhaps for himself, before succumbing to the brutal cold. He transformed scavenged root vegetables, stale bread, and a few donated spices into a surprisingly aromatic, comforting broth. It was his last act of defiance, a final expression of his culinary soul, a swan song to a life he feared was ending. This pop-up, this single meal, was his last chance. The gnawing hunger, the relentless cold, and the looming threat of the end pushed him to this desperate, hopeful act. This was his point of no return. The dilapidated warehouse, transformed by Art's quiet determination, now emanated a surprising warmth, its sparse lighting casting long shadows across the faces of shivering, hungry, homeless individuals. The air, thick with the rich, inviting aroma of simmering broth, offered a brief, precious respite from the brutal winter night. Art moved among his guests, a silent, watchful host, serving his meticulously prepared soup, each bowl a testament to his enduring culinary soul. Miles away, in the gleaming, sterile confines of a Michelin-starred restaurant, Evelyn Sterling sat, her perfectly manicured hand poised over a tablet, scrolling through her next scathing review. She was on a self-proclaimed culinary safari, a hunt for new, obscure restaurants to critique, or more often, to dismiss. Her companion for the evening, Ben, a well-known food blogger with a keen eye and a surprisingly discerning palate, dutifully took notes, his expression one of weary deference. As they navigated the labyrinthine back streets, heading towards a newly opened experimental bistro, Evelyn, distracted by a text message, took a wrong turn down a dark, unlit alley. The luxury car's tires crunched on gravel as they approached a dilapidated warehouse, its windows glowing faintly. A mysterious, enticing aroma, unlike anything Evelyn had ever encountered in her rarefied culinary world, drifted out into the cold night. It was complex, ancient, yet vibrantly alive. She frowned, annoyed by the detour, but the powerful scent, a compelling whisper to her professional palate, compelled her to investigate. "What is that smell?" Evelyn murmured, her irritation warring with a professional curiosity she rarely indulged. "It's intriguing." She got out of the car, Ben following, intrigued by her uncharacteristic interest. They stumbled upon the pop-up soup kitchen. Evelyn's eyes, accustomed to the gleaming surfaces of haute cuisine, swept over the makeshift tables and the faces of the homeless individuals. A look of disdain immediately contorted her features. "Good heavens," she muttered, her voice dripping with condescension. "What is this? A soup kitchen? Such squalor!" She spotted Art, hunched over a simmering pot, his worn coat and scarred face marking him clearly as one of the vagrants she had publicly dismissed earlier. Art saw her, a cold knot tightening in his stomach. The cruel woman from the street, his sister-in-law he was convinced had ruined his life, now standing in his sanctuary. A bitter irony. Yet, as he watched her shiver, a profound compassion, deeper than his resentment, stirred within him. She was cold. She was hungry. And he had one last portion of his meticulously prepared soup, his phoenix consommé, a dish he created from scavenged ingredients, a secret, deeply personal recipe meant for healing. It was his last meal, a labor of desperate love. He made a decision that defied logic, fueled by his unwavering culinary code. He approached Evelyn, a steaming bowl in his hand. "Ma'am," he said, his voice raspy but steady, "it's cold tonight. Please take this. It's the last portion." He extended the bowl, offering his final meal to his tormentor. Evelyn, haughtily, took a reluctant sip. Her eyes, initially filled with disdain, widened in stunned disbelief. She took another sip, then another. Her critical palate, sharpened by years of discerning exquisite flavors, recognized the profound, complex flavor profile, the unique spice blend, the exact, almost haunting taste from the legendary Phoenix consommé. A recipe known only to one family, a dish believed lost after the tragic fire that destroyed Art's renowned restaurant. As she reached for the bowl, her fingers brushed Art's forearm, and she saw them. The subtle, almost imperceptible burn scars on his forearms, matching those of the original Chef Thorne, her brother-in-law. The realization hit her like a physical blow. This homeless chef, offering her his last meal in a dilapidated warehouse, was not just a chef. He was Arthur Thorne, the man whose tragic downfall had allowed her to seize his family's restaurant and build her own soulless empire. The unique, almost archaic symbol on Art's locket, now visible as he leaned forward, subtly matched a hidden detail in Sterling Restaurant's own corporate crest, a chilling confirmation of his lineage and her profound complicity. Ben, the food blogger, watched Evelyn's face, captivated by her sudden dramatic change in expression. Evelyn, flustered and unwilling to admit her profound misjudgment, her face pale with shock and dawning fear, quickly dismissed the dish as surprisingly palatable for street food, attributing its quality to sheer luck. She slammed the bowl down, her hand shaking. "It's primitive, quaint." She quickly left, desperate to escape the horrifying truth, dismissing Art's undeniable genius as a fluke. She made a mental note, a cold, calculating decision, to destroy any evidence that could link her to the old restaurant fire, to bury the inconvenient truth that had just presented itself. Ben, the food blogger, however, was deeply intrigued by Evelyn's strange, almost terrified reaction and the profound, unforgettable taste of the soup. He sensed a story, a hidden truth far deeper than a mere homeless chef. The mysterious aroma of Art's Phoenix consommé lingered in Ben, the food blogger's, memory long after Evelyn Sterling had hastily departed the pop-up soup kitchen. Evelyn's profoundly agitated reaction, a stark contrast to her usual icy composure, along with the soup's undeniable, hauntingly familiar flavor, ignited Ben's keen journalistic instincts. He sensed a story far deeper than a simple human interest piece about a talented homeless chef. He began a covert, meticulous investigation, fueled by a growing suspicion that something truly significant and potentially sinister lay hidden beneath the surface. Ben meticulously scoured old culinary archives, cross-referencing obscure food blogs, and sifting through decades-old newspaper clippings about the tragic restaurant fire that had once devastated the Thorne culinary empire. Piece by agonizing piece, he began connecting the dots. The legendary Phoenix consommé, the esteemed Thorne family, and the sudden unexplained disappearance of its brilliant chef, Arthur Thorne. He uncovered tantalizing snippets of information about Arthur, the lost chef, and the mysterious circumstances surrounding the fire. He found subtle inconsistencies in the official fire reports, whispers of financial motives and suspicious insurance payouts. He sensed a profound injustice, a story of hidden genius and corporate malfeasance. Meanwhile, Evelyn Sterling, consumed by a cold dread, quietly unleashed her considerable power to suppress the truth. She leveraged her influence as CEO of Sterling Restaurants to send anonymous tips to Ben's editor, subtly discrediting him. The tips painted Ben as unprofessional and delusional, chasing a fanciful narrative about a homeless chef. She subtly threatened the owner of the dilapidated warehouse, forcing him to deny Art any further access, effectively destroying his last refuge and any chance for him to continue cooking. Her fear of exposure, of her deep involvement in Art's family's downfall, drove her to desperate measures. The stage for the ultimate confrontation, a culinary duel masked by societal pretense, was the city's prestigious annual Food Critics Gala. This event, a glittering, high-profile affair, was where Evelyn Sterling was set to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award, solidifying her unchallenged dominance in the culinary world. This was the ultimate arena for a public reckoning. Ben, having meticulously gathered enough circumstantial evidence, fragments of fire reports, inconsistencies in property transfers, the undeniable echo of the Phoenix consommé's flavor, planned his confrontation here. He knew he couldn't accuse her directly without irrefutable proof, but he could plant the seeds of doubt publicly. Art, once again without a place to cook, was struggling profoundly. The brutal cold was relentless, gnawing at his bones. He was weaker than ever, his spirit dimming under the relentless weight of despair. The hope of reaching the Valor Clinic, of finding healing for his PTSD, seemed impossibly distant, a mirage in the frozen landscape of his life. He knew Ben was investigating, that his past was being unearthed, but he feared exposure, the harsh glare of public scrutiny that might shatter the fragile dignity he clung to. The time limit on Art's last hope loomed. The Valor Clinic program had only one last slot remaining for the experimental PTSD therapy, and it was rapidly closing. Art needed the funds from the gala's implicit charity auction. The lifetime achievement often came with an associated philanthropic donation before the end of the gala. The only definitive proof of Art's true identity, and more crucially of Evelyn's past crime, was the original complete recipe for Phoenix consommé. This recipe, a family secret, had been meticulously entrusted by Art to a trusted elderly mentor years ago, Mr. David, the kind-hearted independent animal rescue owner from a previous story. Mr. David, now frail and ill, his memory fading, might be the last link to this vital piece of evidence. Ben realized he needed this recipe, this final, undeniable key to unlock the truth and vindicate Art. The stage was set, and the battle for a culinary legacy and a man's life was about to begin. The grand ballroom, transformed into a dazzling culinary arena for the city's annual Food Critics Gala, shimmered with anticipation. Evelyn Sterling, draped in a diamond-encrusted gown, stood at the podium, her features radiating a smug confidence as she accepted her Lifetime Achievement Award. She delivered a self-congratulatory speech, her voice a practiced melody of false humility, extolling her contributions to the culinary world, oblivious to the storm brewing just beyond her gilded cage. Just as Evelyn finished her final, self-serving flourish, Ben, the food blogger, stepped forward. He held a small, discreet digital recorder, its light blinking imperceptibly. He played a brief audio recording, captured days earlier in Art's pop-up kitchen of Art's voice, resonant with passion, his unique culinary terminology clear and unmistakable, explaining the profound history and intricate composition of his Phoenix consommé. The distinct cadence, the specific dialect of cuisine he spoke, a language of flavor known only to a precious few, filled the hushed ballroom. Ben then publicly questioned Evelyn about the true origins of Phoenix consommé, his voice calm yet insistent, hinting at a lost legacy, a deeper truth she was deliberately obscuring. Evelyn, her face contorting with annoyance, was about to dismiss Ben as a sensationalist when a figure emerged from the back of the room. It was Art. He moved with a quiet, unwavering resolve, his tattered coat a stark contrast to the glittering attire of the guests. He reached the stage, his eyes now clear and resolute, fixed on Evelyn. He removed his wide-brimmed hat, revealing his scarred face and, prominently, the tarnished silver locket with the Vance family crest. The room rippled with murmurs of confusion and recognition. "There is no lost legacy to hint at," Art declared, his voice ringing with quiet power. "Only truth that has been suppressed." He confirmed his identity. Arthur Thorne, the lost chef, the man believed dead, his voice a profound echo from the past. He then told the true story of the Phoenix consommé, not just as a recipe, but as a symbol of resilience. He revealed the tragic fire that destroyed his restaurant years ago, a fire that Evelyn's father, Arthur's father-in-law, had secretly orchestrated for insurance money and to eliminate competition, a crime Julian Sterling had quietly uncovered through his own investigations into stolen legacies and historical frauds. He explained how Evelyn had then swiftly moved to acquire his family's original restaurant property, transforming it into the soulless Sterling Restaurants chain, built on a foundation of stolen legacy and betrayal. The unique symbol on Art's locket, the subtle culinary crest of the true Thorne family, now matched the corporate crest of Sterling Restaurants, a hidden detail Julian had identified, revealing Evelyn's father's true crime and her profound complicity. Just as Evelyn's perfect facade began to crack, Julian Sterling, the distinguished philanthropist and art connoisseur, stepped forward from his VIP table. He confirmed Arthur Thorne's identity and the history of the Phoenix consommé recipe, its connection to Arthur's noble culinary lineage, and his own family's long-standing dedication to recovering stolen cultural artifacts and knowledge. He then delivered the final, devastating blow. The fire that destroyed Arthur Thorne's restaurant was, in fact, arson, a crime orchestrated by Evelyn Sterling's father, to whom she is a direct beneficiary, ensuring a massive insurance payout and eliminating a rival. Julian presented irrefutable evidence, forensic reports, financial records, and sworn affidavits he had meticulously gathered. Evelyn Sterling gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Her face, a moment ago so composed, now contorted in utter horror and profound defeat. Her meticulously crafted facade shattered, revealing her deep-seated guilt and complicity in the decades-old fraud. Her entire empire, built on lies and a stolen culinary legacy, began to crumble around her. She tried to speak, but only a choked, pathetic sound escaped her lips. The room erupted. Gasps turned to shouts of outrage, then a thunderous, emotional standing ovation for Art. Journalists scrambled, their cameras flashing, microphones thrust forward, capturing Evelyn's spectacular downfall. Money poured in, a torrent of furious generosity for Art, far exceeding his needs, and a massive fund was instantly created for other homeless chefs and struggling veterans, all sparked by Art's profound truth and his enduring culinary soul. Evelyn, surrounded by the swirling chaos, collapsed, her public image, her entire life, professionally and personally, utterly ruined. Justice, served with a raw, unforgettable flavor, had finally arrived. The raw, Undeniable truth unveiled at the Food Critics Gala ripped through the culinary world, leaving Chef Julian Thorne's once unassailable empire in ruins. The public backlash was immediate and furious. His arrogance, his blatant disrespect for authentic talent, and the chilling revelation of his family's past crimes against Arthur Thorne were broadcast across every news channel and food blog. The Golden Spoon, his Michelin-starred restaurant, rapidly lost its prestigious stars as critics condemned its hollow perfection and profound lack of soul. Reservations vanished, and within weeks, the once bustling establishment faced insurmountable debt, eventually closing its doors, its gilded facade reduced to a symbol of deceit. Chef Thorne's reputation was utterly destroyed, his name becoming synonymous with arrogance and a spectacular failure to recognize true artistry. For Art, the days that followed his public vindication were a blur of profound relief and an almost overwhelming sense of new purpose. He was immediately admitted to the Valor Clinic, the renowned military hospital offering the experimental PTSD therapy he so desperately needed. His healing journey began, slow and arduous, but filled with genuine progress. The specialized therapy, combined with the removal of the immense financial and emotional burden he had carried for decades, allowed the deep, unseen scars of his past to finally begin to mend. He recovered significantly, both physically and mentally, his haunted eyes slowly regaining a flicker of their former light, reflecting a hard-won peace. Art was not only healed but fully vindicated. The military, spurred by the public outcry and Julian Sterling's quiet but firm influence, launched an internal review of the decades-old injustice that had ruined Arthur Thorne's life. The unjust orders he had muttered about in his sleep, the stolen honors, all were meticulously investigated. He received an official apology and full restitution for his decorated service, his name finally cleared, his honor fully restored. He became a national symbol of culinary integrity and veteran resilience, his remarkable story inspiring countless individuals. He dedicated himself to advocating for homeless chefs and ethical food practices, his voice, once unheard, now amplified by his incredible journey. One bustling morning, Ben, the sous chef from the Golden Spoon who had subtly aided Ethan, arrived at the Luminescence Cafe. He looked tired but carried a new lightness in his eyes. "Ethan," he said, a genuine smile on his face. "Thorne's gone. The Spoon is closed. I don't have a job." Art, now known publicly by his true name, Arthur Thorne, smiled, a warm, relaxed expression that had rarely graced his face before. "You do now, Ben. Join me. This isn't just a restaurant. It's a new way of doing things. A place where talent is nurtured and kindness is served alongside every dish." Ben, deeply moved and witnessing the tangible shift in Art's demeanor, accepted immediately, becoming Arthur's trusted head chef, a true partner in his burgeoning culinary vision. Their shared commitment to integrity and passion for food laid the foundation for a unique and thriving culinary enterprise. Later that week, Arthur sat with Lily in their new, comfortable home, no longer a cramped apartment above the cafe. Lily, now bright-eyed and energetic, was enjoying a meal meticulously prepared by Arthur, made with the specific ingredients vital for her diet. "Arthur," Lily asked, her voice clear, "how did we get all this? The special food, this nice house?" Arthur explained, simply and truthfully, how her brave fight had fueled his own journey, how the grandma's luminescence recipe had been their guiding star, a beacon of hope passed down through generations. He spoke of the kindness of strangers, the power of a single flavor, and the importance of never underestimating anyone. He explained that sometimes life's greatest gifts come disguised in unexpected ways, even from harsh experiences. He showed her the tarnished locket, explaining it held a piece of their grandmother's secret, a legacy of love and unseen talent that had finally bloomed. Their conversation, quiet and poignant, celebrated her recovery and underscored the profound, almost miraculous turning point in their lives. He also quietly acknowledged Julian Sterling's crucial role in recognizing his grandmother's legacy and exposing Evelyn, developing a deep respect for the reclusive philanthropist's discerning eye for truth and beauty. The new calm had settled, not a quiet ending, but a vibrant beginning, a culinary empire built on compassion and unwavering integrity. The global culinary world now vibrated with the name Arthur Art Thorne, not just as a renowned chef, but as a revered icon. The Luminescence Cafe, his humble beginnings, had expanded into a successful chain, each restaurant a vibrant testament to his ethical approach to food and his revolutionary cuisine. These establishments were more than just dining destinations. They were models of sustainable sourcing, fair labor practices, and deep community engagement, proving that culinary excellence could and should be a force for profound social good. Art had also published a series of cookbooks, blending his grandmother's traditional wisdom with his innovative techniques, their pages infused with stories of resilience and the transformative power of food. His beloved sister, Lily, now a healthy, vibrant 13-year-old, was an active ambassador for the foundation, her joy and vitality a living testament to Art's love and sacrifice. She had developed her own budding passion for culinary arts, often assisting Art in the kitchen, her youthful enthusiasm a vibrant echo of their grandmother's legacy. She moved with a lightness that belied the arduous journey of her early childhood, her laughter a constant melody in their lives. Art's commitment to paying it forward was etched into every facet of his flourishing empire. He established the Grandma's Luminescence Foundation, a national non-profit that became a beacon of hope for aspiring chefs and struggling communities. The foundation provided crucial culinary scholarships for underprivileged youth with raw talent, ensuring that financial barriers would never stifle genuine genius. It also provided vital resources for local farmers who practiced sustainable agriculture, fostering a network of ethical food production from farm to table. Beyond the culinary world, Art opened community kitchens in underserved areas, providing healthy, free meals and offering culinary training programs, empowering individuals with skills and dignity. He worked tirelessly to ensure that ethical food practices became the norm, transforming the industry from within. The story ends on a bright, bustling afternoon. Art stood in the sunlit, open kitchen of his flagship Luminescence Cafe, the aroma of simmering spices and roasting vegetables filling the air. Lily, now a confident young apprentice chef, stood beside him, her hands deftly preparing a delicate garnish for a new dish. Art wore a pristine chef's coat, but the tarnished silver locket, containing his grandmother's secret recipe, was subtly visible, nestled against his chest. He looked at a framed, faded photo of his grandmother, displayed prominently on a shelf, her kind eyes seeming to smile back at him. A profound sense of peace and purpose filled him. He had not only honored her legacy, but had expanded it beyond her wildest dreams, creating an unforgettable taste of hope, compassion, and delicious possibility for generations to come. If this story stirred your heart, if it reminds you that courage can alter destinies and that light always finds a path even in the deepest darkness, please leave a comment. Share this story with those who need inspiration. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell to never miss our upcoming stories.